Iran and Zoroastrianism. During our 2-week trip to Iran, organized by the Nations Travel in May of 2016, we took over 15 hours of video. This video was produced by editing parts of that video. While in Iran, we had the opportunity to visit the historic city of Yazd, where the Zoroastrians have practiced their religion since about 400 BC. Yazd is located in the middle of the Iranian plateau, close to the spice and silk roads. During our visit to Yazd, we had a mini history given by our excellent guide, Afshin Pasha, about Zoroastrianism. We start our tour at the
fire temple of the Zoroastrian. Zoroaster, as we call it in our language, Zarathustra, was the prophet who brought this religion of the unique God, the creator of heaven and earth and the sky, back to almost 3,270 years ago, more or less. Officially, it is known as the first human religion, and many other religions got their lessons from Zoroastrianism. He was born in the northwest of Iran. He never claimed that he's a prophet or he talked to anyone who something. He just said, I have a message for you. This is a better way to live if you just follow these simple principles. The religion of Zoroastrianism is simplified in 3 simple words. As you can see, there are 3 writings under that symbol, which says good thoughts, the other side, good behavior or good deed, and down there, good words, which actually means good thoughts means creative and positive thoughts. Good behavior or deed means proper behavior and good action. And good words means no lies, tell the truth, and be respectful. So he says, if you just follow these 3 simple words, you will be a perfect person and you will have a happy life on earth. That symbol in the middle is the symbol of the Zoroastrian, which is called Faravahar, which is the name of that symbol. It's an open-winged bird. In the middle, there is a man, an old man with a long beard. If you remember yesterday, I said the beard was symbol of wisdom. So he's the one who's holding his right hand as a sign of respect and prayer, and he's having a ring in his left hand. That is the ring of promise and pledge between the human being to his God, so that he always remembers that he follows the path of his own God. This ring now is internationally known as the ring of marriage on the left hand. This is one thing, the first thing that we have it from the Zoroastrians into the international community. So he's standing in middle of another bigger circle. That bigger circle is life, universe, earth, whatever that a man or human being exists in. So a man, human being, is in the center of creation. He's the best form of creation. So he is respectful and he always remembers that he must follow the path of his God. Have positive thinking, have good thought and good mind, do great things, create great things, and be polite and never lie. That's what it says. The open wings also has got 3 rows of feather, which again refers to these 3 words. And there is down there, like the tail has got 3 words, which is if you do opposite, you always go down. And the intention is go high, or having a very, happy spirit, always going to heaven. There is something like yellow thing down there which looks like the legs, of the bird, but it also looks like a bow. Which it is actually not a bow, but it means that you should always be taking care of yourself and the other. You should have some protection down there as well. Zoroaster chose the white color as the symbol of his religion. Nowadays we use the white color as symbol of peace. When 2 groups are fighting, they have white flag, and then it means that I'm not in war, please stop it. So the white thing also comes from him to the world, to nowadays the life that we have. And fire was the symbol that he chose for his religion, for his idea, because he believed that whatever pain and trouble that we have in our life is because of unawareness, because of darkness in your life, darkness in your mind, darkness in your heart. And fire is the symbol of light. It brightens everywhere, it warms everywhere. So it can give you or show you the way. At least it can give you some vision for whatever you have around you. The Zoroastrians do not worship the fire. They just pray around the fire, so that they are bright enough to see everything, clear mind and clear heart, so that they can see their God and the people around them. For this reason, they always have fire when they pray. Back to centuries ago, where we had so many trees, they always used the wood to make this fire. But nowadays, to take care of the nature, generally they do not use wood, except in this temple, to follow the old tradition. A priest comes to this temple more or less 3 times a day, and he adds some wood to the fire. That wood is generally from the cherry wood. The cherry wood burns for a longer time and has less smoke. In this way, actually, they won't have that room totally black with the smoke. And the other thing is that they don't need to cut too many trees. And these trees are the dead trees which are collected from the gardens, which are these old trees they want to throw away. They all tell all the people, if your tree is dead, just cut it and we can use it here. And hello.
What is it?
He says that, why do you ignore me? I say, we're not ignoring you. We're just talking to you as well.
What is it? What kind of
The bird. It's a raven.
raven?
Yeah, it's a raven, black and white. Well, this temple, the fire in this temple is considered as a holy fire. In Zoroastrianism, if a fire burns for more than 1,000 years, that is considered as a holy fire. Originally, this fire was started some 1,300 to 400 years ago, somewhere near Shiraz, near Persepolis. After the Arabs' invasion, which again happened about 14th century ago, they carried this fire to the Yazd province, which later I explain more why Yazd now is the center. We have more Zoroastrian on the east rather than to the west. It's because of the Arabs' pressure, and people escaped and ran toward the central, to the desert part, where the Arab did not come here anymore. So, oh, this is again desert, we already had desert, we're not gonna go there. And they would die back there, there is no water. So they came and stayed here. So this fire was brought to a city near Yazd. It was kept for a few hundred years over there. And later, during 19th century, they made this building. It was donated by the people, and they made this fire temple here. And the fire was finally brought to this place. It's kept here, and people can see. This is actually a functioning temple. It's not only for the visitors. They have special ceremonies and the activities that are related to the Zoroastrians, but mainly it is open to the people, for the visitors. How do they keep the fire burning for such a long time? You know that if, these priests, they always have a special place. I had the chance to be in the house of the main priest of the Zoroastrian in Iran, in Yazd. Well, supposedly I'm a Muslim. I cannot go inside. But because I was with the film crew, the same movie that I mentioned, Journeys to the Ends of the Earth. The second episode was People of the Flame, which actually refers to the Zoroastrian. If you can find that movie, watch it. Actually, I have it in Tehran. I can give it to you. I have the DVD. So, in that movie, actually, I and David Adams travel around the country looking for the Zoroastrians. And then when we came to Yazd, then we went to the house of priests, and then I had some talk with him. Little bit of, not a very friendly talk with him. I mean, polite, but a little bit quarrel with him. Said that all this because of you. Later, I will talk about that. So, and he showed me that we have a special place back here, and there's fire down there. It was completely covered with ash, and he just removed some of this ash. Said fire is down there, and we will add more wood to it. So we always keep this fire burning. If anybody needs fire, for example, for the wedding, birthdays, anniversaries, or whatever, they want to have the holy fire in their homes, they will refer to us, and we just give them some part of this, fire. They take it home, they make more fire and do the rituals. That's actually how they keep this fire burning for such a long time. When we go inside, you can see the fire burning in the middle. There are some other things inside that I explain when we go inside, all right? Before we go, questions?
It has a clerical hierarchy? Or
Of course. On the top, they have, the word magic comes from magi. And the magi was the name of the high priest of the Zoroastrians. The three magi who moved from Persia to see Jesus Christ, the magi are actually the priests, the name. We call it Mok, or the plural form would be Mogan. So on the top we have the priests, and for sure they have, lower ones, which later become greater according to the studies and the rank they have. So each fire temple or each ceremony generally has got one leader. That's a priest of the Zoroastrians.
So the priest is leading the prayer, but who are they actually praying to?
They pray to they pray to Ahura Mazda. Ahura Mazda is great God, and he's the only God. He's the creator of heaven and earth and everything we have, just like other religion.
What religion was practiced before Zoroastrian?
Iranian from thousands of years ago believed in sun and the water. So sun, for thousands of years we have Mitra. Mitra means sun. So we have Mitraism from very, very old time. And from almost 3,200 years ago when Zoroaster came, he said that even the sun is a creation of a bigger God who is the creator of everything on this earth.
And what about Anahita?
Anahita was the goddess of water. So you see the four elements which are in the Zoroastrians: the fire, also the sun, the same thing, the water, the earth, and the air.
It was a satrapy of Persia, and the idea was to convert the Armenians to Zoroastrianism. And the Armenians were incredibly stubborn, but they sent a whole host of, first of all, there was a small war, which the Persians won. One of the early wars on record using elephants. Okay. And the magi that were sent to kind of do a little brainwashing and so forth found that the Armenians were incredibly stubborn and would not convert. And they finally decided, look, if it's that important to them, let them be. So they were rather broad-minded and tolerant. So whatever anyone says about the early Zoroastrians, toleration must have been an important part of it.
Persian word to say thank you, that was the word sepas. Se means three, and pas means take care of three. Take care of these three. Sepas means when I say thank you to you, means I will take care of these three when I meet you. Means I will surely be polite to you, I won't lie to you, and then I will try to do something good to you. It means thank you, stay with me, be with me. So that's why from almost 2,000 years and more, they created one way, which generally in the West they related to the countries like Jordan or the people in China, because they want to put Iran aside. They say no, this is their creation, but we know that it started first here. This was called the subterranean or underneath canal system. We have 3,600 kilometers of these canals down there, which they carried they found sources of water down there, and then by digging all these tunnels, which were very narrow, where only one person could crawl inside, they brought the water to the surface and distributed among the people. This is also practiced in Jordan, in any desert countries.
So the cisterns are still functional.
Out of these 3,600 kilometers, probably only 30% are working, because the waters down there are dried. And nobody's maintaining them because we have the city water, so we say, who cares about all these, trouble things to go down and dig, because it's very dangerous as well.
Where does the city water come from?
Now it comes from, the pipes, coming from dams and, purified water from dams and other sources which are provided by the government from other cities as well.
We have just entered the Atashkada, or Zoroastrian fire temple. This Zoroastrian temple was built in 1934 in a site belonging to the Association of the Parsi Zoroastrians of India under the supervision of Jamshid Amanat. The sacred flame, behind a glass case invisible from the entrance hall, has been apparently burning since about AD 470 and was transferred from Nahetapar's temple, first to Artacan, then to Yazd, and to its present site.
Picture, this is the picture that they believe Zoroaster looked like him. The thing is that, as I mentioned, his name is Zarathustra or Ashur Zarathustra, which is the name Zoroaster. Zarathustra, Zoroaster, Ashur Zarathustra are all the names given to him. The Persian name are Ashur Zarathustra or Zarathustra. Yes.
Along the walls are various verses by Zarathustra. These are just a few. Verse 2, one is unable to realize the right path clearly and choose the same if they are misled by the wrong temptations. Ahura Mazda has appointed me as your teacher, so that both parties of good and evil may live in accord with Asha. Verse 7, Armati, love and faith, shall grant the person who is gifted with spiritual strength, good thought, truthfulness and purity, the firmness and stability of body. Such a person shall no doubt be successful in life's ordeal and shall be regarded, O my Ahura Mazda, as thy good servant. Verse 9, O God of life and creation, may we be sincere servants of yours, like those who make the world renewed. May we enjoy your help through Asha, so that whenever our minds waver in doubt, our hearts and thoughts may turn to you.
Ceremony of having one day of celebration like a feast in every month. That was because the name of the month and the name of the day were the same. How did it happen? Now here you can see we have 30 names here, starting from number 1 to 30. All these names are the names of the day of the month. And out of these 30 names, we have 12 of them which are also the name of the months. For example, we have number 2, the second day, which is called Bahman, which means good thoughts. And the 11th month of the year is also Bahman. So second of Bahman is always Bahman, Bahman. Bahman in Bahman. Good thoughts in good thoughts. So there was a big celebration. Or just imagine my birthday, number 7, Amordad, which means eternity, immortality. This is the 7th day, and the month itself is the 5th month. So the 7th day of the 5th month, there was a big celebration, which was also in the middle of the summer, and people, cooked lots of food, cookies, made a lot of drinks, and they served each other. Probably they had some music, dance, or whatever. I don't remember. I was just a little child 2,000 years ago. Yeah, these are the names of the month among these 30 names. So this was what was happening before the Arabs. But after that, everything turned into like a religious, to the new religion, which was Islam. Then we had Islamic celebrations, which we had the birthdays of Muhammad, the birthday of Ali, birthday of Fatima, Hassan, Hussein, and the other Imams of the Shia. For the Shia, as I mentioned before, that we have Muhammad, Allah is the God, Muhammad, and then comes Ali and Fatima, his daughter and his son-in-law and cousin, and then his grandsons, Hassan, Hussein, and the rest of the children, up to the 12th Imam, who is actually now absent, and then is going to revive and come back and save the people. So these are actually the differences between the two religious ceremonies that we had in the past and now. People as well. For example, Bahman, Azar, Meh, all these are the name of the people as well. So we have someone called Bahman, someone called Azar. Bahman is a man, Azar is a woman, for example. So ladies and men have the names from the days of the week as well. And Iran, for your information, is also the name of a lady. Though it comes from Aryan or the Aryans, and then transfers Aryan into Iran, it's also a name of a lady who used to be in our myth And our legendary books, we have Iranban or Iranbanu, means Lady Iran, who was the queen of the country as well.
Inside the fire temple, we had a chance to walk around and look at the various exhibits. You will see along the walls the various verses by Zarathustra. We're walking out toward the Towers of Silence. We went into this building where Ashen gave a briefing on how the Zoroastrians buried the dead. The wind was blowing very strongly at the beginning, which interfered with the microphone. So I'm going to repeat his words at the beginning. This was called Towers of Silence. Probably saw before, there are two towers on each side. And the reason they called them Towers of Silence is because people were put on the top when they were silent, because they were dead. When people died, they preferred not to bury them directly without any covering, into the ground, into the soil, to protect the earth. For this reason, they found a new option of choice, exposing the body directly to the vultures, the birds, so that they ate the flesh and the bones remained, so they could actually bury the bones. For this purpose, they made, Towers of Silence in different cities or areas where they lived. Yazd is the major city for the Zoroastrians. They have some of these towers of silence, around the city. These are not the only two.
But we have stopped doing this from almost 60 to 65 years ago, probably, as far as we are told, because the city has started to grow, and they were worried that maybe these birds sometimes they carry some parts of the bodies or bones away, and they might have brought some of the diseases to the people. So they stopped it. For this purpose, they made this, the same walls where you saw the toilets were, right behind it is the cemetery. This is where the bodies are buried, just like normally the other people who are buried in this country. Except they do not need to be facing Mecca, because they are Zoroastrians. Only Muslims need to face Mecca when they are buried. Well, when the people died, the bodies were brought here. The priests started to pray, do the, basic, praying things. Then they were wrapped in white pieces of cloth, which also the Muslims are also now wrapped in a white piece of cloth, and then they are buried. We do not use coffins. The coffins are not used here. But for the Muslims, when they go down, they make something like a concrete box down there. They put the body inside. This is for the Muslims. On their right shoulder, face toward Mecca. And then they put other concrete blocks on the top. So they make it look like a coffin down there, but not a wooden one, like a concrete one. They do the same thing here with the Zoroastrians as well. So when the bodies were brought here, and the first, part of the prayer was performed by the prayer or the preacher or the priest, there were some people we know them in English as untouchables. These are the people who were allowed to touch the bodies. And these people generally did not get very much involved with the people in the society, in the cities or villages. The purpose was not that because they are not clean or they are dirty people. the main source of diseases in those days were, was transferred by touching. And because they touched these bodies and probably there was a chance of, having some of diseases, they preferred not to be in the society just in case they make more people sick. For this reason, they had one space back there in the same area, which was only used by these people. Interesting thing is that the name of these people in Indian culture, they call it untouchables, but in Persian they call them masters. Means very, very important people, because they were very brave to touch the dead bodies. You never knew that someone might have died from a very deadly disease. So they were very brave to touch these people. So they were rather respected. Not like India, who were rather, ignored or hated and kept away from the society. So after, these untouchables carried the bodies to the top of these towers, they unwrapped the body. Just imagine this space up there in the tower. This is just like the same space, except there is a wall around it, about 4 meters, to make sure that the birds do not carry the whole body out of the building. They wanted to make high enough for them not to go away. And then just like the surface, and imagine in the middle there is like a ditch, a bit deeper, and they put the bodies inside. They waited for a few days, and they also locked the door to make sure that no fox or wolf or dogs get inside, because they could carry the body away. So they locked the door and came outside. People stayed here, down here, until the birds did their job. There are different buildings around here. They try to separate people from different villages so that they do not mix up. If, for example, one man died from village A and another man died from village B, they stayed in their own section. 20, 50, 100 people just having, food and dinner and ceremony in one of these buildings, and the other villagers in the other building. That's the reason why you see many buildings here. And this building here, this was mainly like a kitchen. This was where they actually prepared the food for the families. They came here, they cooked the food, and then they serve it among the people. So after the bodies, this ceremony, which lasts for a day or 2 or 3 at most, they could have asked these untouchables to collect some bones and bring it back to them so that they can bury it somewhere near their homes. But generally, as we know, they had this lime, this white powder that decomposes. They had the lime, and they put it over the bones, and it just simply decomposed down there. They didn't bring to anything. But if anybody asked, they could have the same piece of white cloth. They could have 1 or 2 bones wrapped in the piece of cloth back to the family, so that they could bury it somewhere near their own homes if they wanted to do so. There are 2 towers here. These are actually the towers. That one is, according to the sign that we had on the wall, was sponsored and made by one of the Indians, the Parsis from India, who spent some money and asked them to make these towers here for the Zoroastrians. So there is no difference if they put the men on one side or women on the other side. As far as I know, there was no difference. They could be put in both in the same place, because after all, they are dead. So it doesn't mean that one of them is higher, one of them is shorter, is because of something. There are other superstitions as well. For example, say if the bird took the right eye first, the man went to heaven. If he took the left eye first, he went to hell. And then who was there to see? For example, the birds had the choice. Okay, he looks like a nasty person. Let me take the left eye first. No, these are just stories that people make. And again, I should remind you that this was like one of the options of burying. Otherwise, we have already remembered the kings of Persia. They were all buried somewhere. One of the options was this, to make sure that people are safe because of the diseases, and also to keep the earth, because they did a lot of agriculture. If they wanted to bury people everywhere with all these diseases, the water would run down there, and this water could come back to the people's life and make many people sick. So this was only for some hygiene purposes, which was part of the ritual of Zoroastrianism. To go to the top of this tower is really hard. It's rather about 300 meters above the level, and it's very long. We are not going up there for 2 purposes. First, it's very steep and a very tough climb over there. Second, this place actually closes at 12 o'clock, so I had to ask this guy to give some extra time for us to hear. Third of all, what you see there is not something like a building, painting, drawing, writing, or anything. You just see the same thing you see here, exactly the same thing, just with a big round wall around it. That's all. Yeah, when you see, the gravestone, you see the name of that person, when he was born, when he died, where he was born, and whose child he was, his father's name
Are there
generally.
any signs of what maybe was their profession, like?
No, not really. We have, in some very, very old cemeteries back in the mountains and villages far away in the corner, they had something like a little sign of this guy was a carpenter, this guy was, for example, a textile maker or whatever. But not very common, not at all. And on the gravestone nowadays, they can write anything. Now it's become very, very popular. People spend a lot of money and have the picture of the man or the woman on the grave, on the stone actually. Which when you go there, you see, a lovely picture of that man carved on the stone, which is very nice actually. And they pay a lot of money for that as well. If you go back to something around 2,200 years ago, by the time that the Parthians and the Sassanids came to power, this was the early type of dome-shaped building. You see, we have 4 walls. We have a big cross in the middle. Remember cross? Okay. They added one angle here, and made 4 into 8. And from 8, they started to make smaller ones, going to round things in the middle. But this one, because this is a kitchen and they needed the smoke to go out here, they kept it open. And if you continued going round, that becomes a dome here. One thing I forgot to tell you was that little dome over there with the 2 towers next to it. And right in the front, you can also see steps. Those steps, if you walk down, you do not need to walk down. There is nothing down there. It's already blocked by the soil and stones. If you walk down those steps, you go right down that dome. Underneath was that type of water that I mentioned coming from these tunnels. For the people to use when they wanted to cook or wash or things like that. But this is not used anymore. And those 2 towers functions as ventilation. The city of Yazd is famous for a few things. This water system underneath, we call it subterranean water system. The wind towers. The other thing important here are Zoroastrianism. Center of the Zoroastrian, this is the place for mainly Zoroastrians staying here. So later, when in the afternoon we go to the old part of the town, I'll explain about the wind towers and how it works. They are actually to make the homes cool, which the difference sometimes could be something around 20 degrees. I had the chance to go inside one of these houses many years ago, where the weather outside was something around 47 degrees, very, very hot. I was just burning under the sun. When I got into one of these houses, I couldn't believe it. And then said, do you have the AC? I said, no, we have our wind tower. It was something about 26 or 7 degrees. So cool around there. And it's the same story in the winter as well. When it's -5 here out, when you go inside, it's 25, 26. Because of the type of material they use in the old houses, thickness of them and the style of building them keeps it warm in the winter, cool in the summer. So every year, every 2 years, they have to cover all these buildings with the straw. In the afternoon, you will see more examples of them. They had like these fireplaces. They had smaller rooms, they make a fire to cook things, but they just had like a fire burning here. Here in this middle, only for the fire to burn, for warmth and things.
We then had approximately 1 hour to walk around and look at the various ruins at this historic site.
All right. Take some pictures as these people are going from the prayer. They should have gone at 12 o'clock of last, and they know their reason, so they just gave me some extra. So.
Can I close it up? This isn't bad.
We turned around just in time to see one of the more athletic members of our tour group, Bruce Bohr, from Oakland, California, jogging up to the Tower of Silence and looking in.
A non-permission trip. I'll make it. Yeah. He was a track guy at one point. Probably 40. Funny.
This is the sixth video we have produced from over 15 hours of video footage taken during the 2 weeks we were in Iran. While Abe is adding a few final comments, a list of the titles of our other 5 videos with their respective URLs will be shown. At the top of the list is the URL for our Conscience Films YouTube site, where all of our videos can be seen.
In closing, we just want to emphasize that if anyone has the opportunity to visit Iran, they should by all means take full advantage of it. The country is remarkable in terms of its very old and extensive history. The many archaeological sites are quite fascinating. There are, in fact, some 20 World Heritage sites. They're very different in terms of scope. They're well maintained. The language of the labeling is not perfect, but they're very acceptable. One of these many World Heritage sites, probably the best known, is the ancient capital of Persepolis. The ruins, while they are ruins, reflect the incredible city that Alexander the Great took vengeance on and destroyed much of it. The remnants are sufficient to show that it must have been something quite fantastic. Well worth a visit in and of itself. If you went to Iran only to see Persepolis, that would be well worth it. The people are very welcoming. They like Americans, they like tourists. They're particularly fond of Americans. And we believe that the bad press that's been given Iran and the Iranian people is not justified by any means. In our experience, one couldn't have met more open, kind, and friendly people. Now, we want to thank, finally, our guide, who is exceptional in many, many ways, Afshin Pasha. He did a fantastic job of keeping a very large group under control and made sure that we did not go astray in the heavy traffic. We thank him very much. And the Nation magazine, which many will know is the oldest continuously published weekly magazine in the United States, they have a travel division now that they call Nation Travels that has been doing some exceptional trips that are well led, and it's because of their ability to harness the energies of such excellent guides like Afshin Pasha that it makes all the difference.